Hey guys, it's Maria Park, and welcome to the Approach the Nerd live from my mini studio and my allergies. Um, we are here to talk about Motherland, Fort Salem, Season 2, Episode 3. Whew, we learned some stuff tonight. We keep getting little clues into Alder's past, and this episode was absolutely insane. So, we're just going to kind of maneuver through it without doing a full-on recap. And we're just going to pick up some highlights of what happened. So the very beginning of this episode, we're in the president's office. Now, if you followed me with my season 1 reviews for this show, you know I've always said Alder was shady. I've always said she does things in the best interest of keeping herself in power. And I also think that she has a very, very big part. She played a part in starting the spree, potentially even the Camarera. We don't know, but definitely the spree. So she's in the office. We got Petra, we've got the biddies, we got the Vice President Silver, and of course, Madam President, who she puppeted last season. And she's in there asking for the president to sign an order in order to try and find and protect new witches. And of course, she's like, I don't want to do this because it's going to, basically everybody's going to be paranoid, thinking their child basically is a witch. That's what she's implying. You're going to cause panic. And Alder's like, but we need this. And Madam President's like, no. And the Vice President is like, oh, well, the Vice President has assured me that this order will not be signed. And then the biddies start making that little humming sound, or the little steady humming sound. And Alder starts looking at her with her cray-cray eyes. And all of a sudden, the president has a change of heart and signs the order. She effing puppeted the president again. And she did it in front of Petra. And Petra knew. You can see on Petra's face that Petra knew what she just did. As a matter of fact, Petra was dropping some bombs. Like she said, Sarah, you always have a way of getting people to see things your way. And I'm like, that woman knows. Of course she knew. Because remember, in season 1, Petra was going to be the new general. And she was going to be announced as the person replacing Alder. And now all of a sudden, Alder's still in office because she puppeted the president. So the reason that there's no ramifications for this is the president is really messed up. And I really want to know what the side effects and long-term effects of taking over this woman's mind and willpower are on her physically, because she's just a normal human. So there has to be some kind of there has to be ramifications for doing this to a regular person for it to be forbidden in the first place. So Alder is shady. I have said it from the beginning of this damn series in season 1. That woman is shady AF, period. And it's a mess. To add on to that, poor Rael. Rael's been putting through this series of tests, or as Abigail likes to say, you were a secret military experiment, where she's basically, her and Isadora were down in the basement where the mama mycelium or magic mushroom is. And of course, she has Rael trying different seeds on it to see if it responds, and it doesn't. Rael has this flashback when, they're calling it a night, where basically Rael remembers this death cap seed that Cilla showed her in season 1 on one of their secret dates in the woods. And she tried it on, of course, Mama Magic Mushroom. And it decides to respond by taking its little tentacles, putting some of it in her mouth, and basically colonizing her larynx. So now she's got all these little, mycelium type vines and stuff in her larynx. And that to me was creepy. I mean, that's some alien stuff right there. But it allowed her to not only be more powerful in terms of how she can effectively use the magic mushroom, she can use it to destroy stuff now. She literally is a witch bomb. She also is able to fluently speak mother tongue, something she couldn't even form an entire sentence. She even stated so at the beginning of the episode, where Abigail and her and Tally are walking, and she's like, I can't even, form a sentence. How they expect me to talk to this mushroom, basically. And of course, Abigail saying, no, you have a chance of being something greater. Don't take advantage of this, yada, yada. So, of course, again, I love Rael and Abigail. I'm sorry. I just still ship the hell out of them. And I also love the girls' relationship. I love the Bellwether unit in general. So I'm always excited whenever they have scenes together. But okay, so Rael is a bomb. And I don't know how she's functioning knowing these things are in. I would be freaking out. I'm sorry. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, so long story short with Rael, they basically test her in front of the vice president and one of the generals from The Hague and, the biddies and Petra. And she's able to utilize this ability now. They took her to a part of the base nobody ever goes to. So it's like Area 51. And she's able to not only did she blast a lot of radius of like the land area she was in, it also terraformed by these like glow in the dark mushrooms appearing out of the ground. I'm like, what is happening? It's like, it looks like the mycelium is like, I'm going to terraform the planet and you're going to help me. They don't know this. They think that they're just using me as a weapon, but I have bigger plans. Like, we're talking about a mushroom world. So yeah, she's literally, she's the army's secret weapon. So yeah, now poor Abigail. Abigail is basically, she's a bellwether. She's ambitious by nature, but she's also been, and we've seen this in season 1 when she talked to her cousin Charvel before she was killed. She wants to be known for something outside of being a bellwether, outside of being Petra's daughter, outside of her family legacy. She wants to do something and accomplish something by herself. And so in this episode, we are introduced to a brand new character, and her name is the Imperatrix. And she's from this, I guess, group or body called the Imperative. The Imperative are basically the ones who tell you who to mate to make babies, who increase your bloodline and lineage, or make successful matches. They basically keep witches alive. And they have to be very powerful because we just saw Alder literally puppet the president. But when she tried to talk smack to the Imperatrix, Imperatrix like, oh, no, lady, you're not going to do that. You can take yourself and get the hell out of my office. And Alder did. I'm like, there were no biddies hissing at her. Alder got up and walked out. And she's like, I don't answer to you. I'm like, well, so I would love to know more about the Imperative. I mean, I need to know more. But Rael has this witch bomb thing. Of course, Tally is, a very powerful seer and has Alder's memories, but poor Abigail, even though she's a powerful blaster, she basically is a walking womb. She is the last of the bellwether line. It is her job to make sure that there is another baby witch that follows her, which I don't know what happens if she gives birth to a boy. Does that mean she just has to keep having babies till a girl pops out? That's what I got out of this. And Abigail is like, I don't want this. I want to do more. She even tells Rael and Tally that she feels like she's living and impersonating somebody else's life. So I feel so bad for Abigail because Abigail is the one who literally 100% wanted to succeed, wanted to go to war college, wants to be the best soldier, wants to live up to the family legacy, but wants to do her own thing. And you're basically telling this child, just lay down, spread your legs. That's literally what you're saying to her. That's what you're good for, popping them out. I feel so bad for her. And then she takes drastic measures. She did have this conversation with Adil where she talks about how his tribe didn't, fight back the Camarera. And you see he got really offended. He's like, my tribe. He's like, they got killed, Abigail. And she's like, well, they should have fought. And, instead of the enemy coming to them, and she's trying to rationalize fighting. And I can see both perspectives. At the end of the day, Adil, he's a pacifist. All of his, people are pacifists. And Abigail comes from a war family. So, I mean, I don't know how that was going to work anyway in the long run because they have drastically different views. And we saw that even in season 1. They like each other a lot, but they have drastically different views on how to win this war with the Camarera. So Adil is just like, I just want to have sex with you and just be happy. I don't care about the war. And, Abigail's like, but I'm a soldier, So they butt heads a little bit. And so she does something that visually was amazing. She decides to skip this, they have this little banquet where all of the witches get together and they basically get to pick who the father of their children are going to be. It's very weird for such a progressive world to be so archaic in terms of baby making. But you know what? I'm going to leave that alone. But Abby decided to skip out on that. And poor Tally had to go it alone. You know, she's from that I can't even think of the name, matrical society, basically a society where it's all women that raise women. There are no men. And so she wasn't raised in this culture of let's find a baby daddy. So she had to go to the banquet alone without Abigail. And Abigail decided completely to forfeit it because she wants to practice something else, which visually was stunning. She literally became Storm from X-Men. She was Storm. She was pulling down tornadoes. They were so powerful. She was levitating. And we knew she was a powerful blaster. She comes from a long line. So we knew she was a prodigy blaster. So I literally was excited about the prospect of her becoming more powerful on her own. And I did love the scene where the Imperatrix tried to make her mate with Gregorio. And so Abigail's response to that when they were sparring, she beat the hell out of him. So that to me was funny. That was Gregorio's moment to shine. He got his butt kicked. He also did help Tally, escort her to the banquet. And I don't know. I kind of wondered if Tally and him were going to have a thing later on, but I don't know. And it can go either way. I also like her with M. I'm starting random ships here. But there's a scene where Tally is actually sparring with M in the episode. And they're fighting with knives. And she has like this machete type blade. And she sees blood on it. And of course, she freaks out. And M's like, oh, did I cut you or get you by accident? And there's no blood on it. It's just Tally seeing it because she's seeing, of course, another one of Alder's memories, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, Tally's going through it. Tally is going through it. And I feel so bad because she is still very much linked to, Alder's memories, and she has no control of when they actually invade her brain. So Rael has no control over magic mushroom, and, Tally has no control over Alder's memories. And, we also learned last week that, Tally has ability to see sound. So her powers are increasing too. So it's only right that Abigail, increases her power as well. The only thing is she forced it, and there's like blood coming out of her mouth. And if you look at the preview for the next episode, she is very much in the infirmary. So yeah, that is a thing. But yeah, so that in itself was cool. Then we have Cilla and Anacostia basically are working together. Cilla's still kind of like, I don't want to work with the army. And of course, she's, Anacostia's like, I don't work with the spree, but we here, so we doing it, It's just this whole thing they're doing because they have this lead with Shane and Bonnie. And they bring in this new guy. His name is Jack Orsatti. And this man has developed a witch test. And he's going into these schools and testing these children to see if this high-pitched frequency that can only be heard by witches' ears, affect them. And that's how he's determining who is a witch and who is not. And the problem with that is that I don't know what he's doing with them. I'm assuming he's killing these kids because they talk about Shane and Bonnie. So Bonnie mentions that their daughter had a young friend named Tiffany, hence the name of this episode, and that Tiffany was proven to be a witch. And Bonnie's like, I don't know what we would do if we had a Tiffany. So that tells me right there they had taken this child and done something to it. And that is so messed up. But all of the scenes with Cilla and Anacostia actually, for me, are very entertaining. I love the chemistry between these two actresses. I remember when Fort Salem, before it even premiered season 1, I first saw the trailer and then I watched a bunch of interviews, and they were talking about the audition processes and stuff, and how Cilla and Anacostia kind of bonded. Their actresses, so Demetria and Amalia Holmes, both were really close. And so they literally found out they got cast with each other while they were going out and eating pizza. So I thought that was really, really cool. So I love when they pair them up because you can see their actual friendship, come through or shine through in this role. And knowing that they're really good friends in real life is really funny to me, that they play like not really enemies, but frenemies. And I just think the chemistry between them is really funny. But yeah, I love how Cilla was continuing to do her I'm spree, I've got this, I know what I'm doing kind of mode. And Anacostia keeps having to bail her out. Hence in point where she basically follows Jack, and Anacostia is the one that basically has to beat him up. And so I loved everything about their scenes. And the thing with Shane and Bonnie, I mean, It's crazy because it's representative to me of real life, how you can have these two people that can be so cool with you until they realize you're something that they don't like, and then they turn on you. Such a representation of real life. So I love the characters because they are very convincing. Like Bonnie could be your best friend and then turn on you like that. So completely convincing characters, very good actors for these two parts. So yeah, but definitely anytime I see Anacostia and Cilla, I'm here for it. There is a scene in the trailer also with Anacostia and Alder, because I keep trying to figure out how Anacostia keeps getting off base, because doesn't she have like a job function? Shouldn't she be like, I know that basic hasn't started for the new recruits, but shouldn't she be prepping? Shouldn't she be doing something? Because we saw Tally working with Penelope on a seed, which was a very cute scene, but shouldn't Anacostia be doing something? I don't know what was happening with that, but she's always off base. And I don't know if Alder's aware of her whereabouts, or if Alder's so into what Rael is doing and figuring out their new weapon of mass destruction that she doesn't have time to worry about what Anacostia is doing. But in the trailer next week, like, it's really interesting how Alder's like, basically, you don't approve of my method. Anacostia is like, I'm going to let history judge that, ma'am. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a thing. And then of course, Tally's flashback. So Tally's flashback, we see the girl again that's the redacted soldier. Her name is Nikta, and something is happening. And she turns around to Sarah and she's like, they surrender. Basically, this is overkill. What you're doing is wrong. And Sarah's like, I had no choice. And I thought she said, you used my seed or something like that. And then Nikta tells Sarah, you have a black heart. And I'm like, oh, and this is why I think Nikta started this, that she's the founder of the spree. Because that just seems like an appropriate way, to strike back at what you think is wrong, which is, because for me, the army is not what Nikta is, basically against. It's Alder. And I feel like when everyone's against the army, they're really against Alder. So I really feel like Alder, this may be Alder's last season. I think they made her a series regular because they're going to do something to her because she's shady AF. She is shady. She has to be put out of power. But I think she's not going to be. She's going to go down swinging, and she's going to take a lot of people with her. And that is going to be very interesting. So yeah, the imperative I want to know more about. I want to know more about Nikta. I want to see more of the Hague, because they don't like Alder right now either. The Paratrix is interesting. I wonder what the ramifications of, Abigail not going to that banquet are going to be, because right now Petra's being very cool. She's being nice to Rael. She's being very passive. And I don't feel like that's what Petra is. For now, it's because her daughter survived. So she's like, I won't waste this chance. When she finds out that her daughter doesn't want to be basically a baby making machine, I don't know where she's going to go with that. So yeah, it's going to be a thing. And then also, is Petra still plotting against Alder? Because Petra's not stupid. She saw what happened in the president's office. So I'm very curious what is going to happen with that too. Yeah, very, very good episode. So hopefully I did not leave anything out, but yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. All right. So let's see where we are. Dee, this is the best episode so far within the series. I agree. Ignore my allergies, guys. It's been bad. Bad. Water. Let's see. This episode was very well done. So much intrigue. Yeah, it seems like every scene, it was something else. Like every scene. That's why I love this show. If you blink, you will miss it. It's crazy. Yes, very much. This episode was amazing. Alder is shady. Yes. I mean, they should make a shirt that just says Alder is shady. No matter what happens, she's shady as hell. Many good blessings. Thank you, Eric. She is shady to the max. Even Petra noticed. Yeah, she was looking at Alder throughout that entire episode. Like, I like when she looked at Alder. She looked at the president and the vice president, and she turned around and looked at the biddies, and she looked back like, oh, so this is what's happening. And that's what she was doing. And I'm like, she knows what's happening. Now I definitely believe there's going to be a Petra versus Alder throwdown. I hope so. I really hope so. I'm looking forward to seeing Alder get her just desserts. So am I. I'm looking forward to seeing that I want everybody to realize that Alder really is the true villain in this scenario. Yes, the Camarera are horrible people, but Alder is so messed up. The Motherland is clearly more than just a fungus. It's a force of its own. It is. And I like when Rael was like, why did you choose me? Abigail would have loved this, but I don't even want it. And then like, that's why it chose you, because Abigail would use you like a flamethrower. And you're like, Rael is so like hesitant and doesn't want to be that. And she's a fixer, which is how ironic that a fixer is a bomb. That is so ironic to me. I just think that's interesting. Hi, Nicholas. How are you? Let's see. The mycelium is like an Earth-based entity from what Elliot said. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's terraforming the Earth. Like, seriously, I would be worried that magic mushroom is also a villain. Rael is literally a weapon of mass destruction. Yep. 100%. Elliot Lauren says there will be more breaking up the group this season of the unit. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing it because everyone's doing their own work. So their own specializations are being separated. Like, I love that Abigail accidentally like threw a water, at both Rael and Tally, water bomb or whatever she did, because she's been practicing it in Weatherworks. And I mean, that's her specialty. So I think that's very cool. Now I'm very curious as to what the Chimera's plans to advance their witch detection technology nationwide, because from what I've seen, they're literally pulling some Friends of Humanity, MRD crazy. Yep, they are. This is such a comic book thing. But yeah, it looks like it's being implemented in all the schools. It's creepy. It is very creepy. Like in Robicons, we have heaven humans, supermasses, and anti-mutants. Yep. I mean, this is literally something we would see with mutants and the mutant front. I don't know. I personally think maybe Elliot's pulled some stuff from comics, but I don't know if he's a comic lover. So, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, I do think it's interesting that so many things we've seen, not only in Marvel, but also a little bit in DC, are being implemented in Motherland, Fort Salem. But hey, whatever. Seeing Alder get flack from the Imperatrix was sweet. She really was standing there like, I love how she walked down the stairs. She said, the ego of that woman. I'm like, literally, you do this like all the time. I'm like, you were literally like this all the time. And I love Petra was like, well, I mean, what did Petra say? She said, I mean, that's pretty much what happens when you have nobody to answer to but yourself. I mean, Petra was throwing the shade, letting Alder know she knows what she did. She's like, I know you. I know what you do. Imperatrix is not to be messed with. Did you see the way she talked to Alder? I loved how she looked at her. I'm like, oh, she's doing what we do in the hood. She's taking the earrings off. She's like, no, hold up, lady. You in my house. I'm like, oh, it's interesting. Poor Abby feels so left out. Yes, she does. I feel so bad for her. I think Tally and Gregorio will have children together. It's possible. I don't honestly think the Bellwether unit are going to have children at all. I can't see Abigail having a baby right now. I just can't see it. I just don't see Adil and Abby working out long term. They can't. They're like the Tareem are different people than the Bellwethers. They are probably the most, and they always say opposites attract, but they are so opposite. They are so opposite. Like, he is such a pacifist and she's so pro-war. She wants to fight. She wants to be, a soldier. She loves being a soldier. How can a soldier be with a pacifist long term? It doesn't make sense. And Kalita tried to say it. She's like, I don't want you to be hurt. But, he's not going to stay with you. He's always going to choose his people. And Adil just showed that. So, yeah, it's really not going to last. I can't believe she puppeted the president again. I know the woman, I mean... The gall of this lady, I swear. And she did it in front of Petra. She did it in front of her. Oh, Lord. I don't know, guys. Sometimes peace has to be backed with force, is what all nations do, from the U.S. to Russia. True. Was anyone ready to pop the Imperatrix in the throat? I know it's your job keeping track of the maternal lines so that our kind can thrive, but maybe we need to look outside of tradition in this case. Yeah, she was very like, what did you say? Outcross? I think they're called outcross, where you basically, marry outside of the witch line, how Rael's mother married a regular human. She's very opposed to that situation. And I thought that was really interesting. And she's like, well, maybe we can fix you, Rael, because you have potential. We'll just get you with the right person. And Rael's like, I don't even like men. So what do you do when you're a lesbian? What do you do with that? I don't like men. I don't want to sleep with men. I cannot physically sleep with men. So you need to work something out, because it's take an egg, throw it somewhere, do something with it, because it's not going to happen with me. But yeah, she's very, like when she says purist, it's interesting because that's not something you would see out of a minority's mouth normally. And I love how in this world it is that way. It's like, oh, all right. You kind of discriminatory as hell. I'm like, interesting. I really like Abigail and Adil, but Adil most likely is probably going to die. I don't think he's going to die. I think he's going to leave. He's going to choose to go with Kalita. Unless Kalita is on the train, because we do see in the trailer that a bunch of the Hague are on the train, and the Camarilla throw one of the black plague bombs, if that's what we're calling it, and they get infected. And I don't know if Kalita is on. Well, even if she is on the train, if she does die, then Adil's definitely going to leave, because he's not going to be able to handle that. So it's going to be a thing. Maria, did you see my paragraph comment? I did not. When we literally in a war zone with both the Spree and the Camarera at our throats while we are running around like headless chickens. Yeah. Yeah. There's so much going on in Motherland, Port Salem. I really like the chemistry between Abigail and Adil. The fact that he was able to sense that it was Abigail doing the weather work was amazing. Yeah. Plus, I mean, I hate to say this, but I don't see anybody else doing weather work. I don't see anybody. In season 1, we saw 2 upperclassmen, which were probably from War College, doing weather work. I'm assuming they've graduated. I have no idea where anybody else in her weather works class are. And I also don't know why no one noticed the weather work. Like, you don't notice this is happening? Like, even Rael like looked out the window and saw the storm. She's like, oh, Bells didn't come home last night, and she looked out the window. So they figured it out too. So I think we know that Abigail is going to be in the infirmary in the next episode, because you see them sitting there and you see Tally say that, like, first Rael's like, Alder can't be trusted. And Tally's like, yeah, she only basically, she uses people, is what Tally basically is saying. She only, every time she does anything with people that, it's basically either control them or they end up getting hurt. So Tally, the novelty and the loyalty to Alder is definitely fading in Tally now. And I think she's fighting it because there's still that link, but she's seeing too much dark stuff come from it. And I feel so bad for Tally to be connected to this shady woman. She does not deserve it at all. Hi, Cheston. How are you doing, lady? Cilla and Anacostia is such an odd pairing, by like, they're like good cop, bad cop, but with each other. It is so funny to me. I love it. It actually works, and that's why I love it so much. I haven't seen the new app yet, but I'm still going to watch it after this live. I think you're definitely going to like it. This is one of the better episodes so far this season. And honestly, they haven't had a bad episode since episode 1 of season 1. I've never seen a bad episode of Motherland Fort Salem. And it's very rare because, I do a lot of reviews, especially, I'm a Charmed girl. I wish I could say that about Charmed. But this is the witch show that I wish Charmed had been, because these 3 girls are more charmed, and the chosen ones are even the charm ones than the charm ones in Charmed to me. I'm just throwing it out there. And also something else I would love to say is the fact that they are in War College. I get so many Harry Potter vibes, with like, you look at Hermione and divination classes and like, all of them specializing, and like, Abigail specializing in weather work. And then you have Tally being a seer, and you have, Rael. Not only is she a fixer, but she's a freaking bomb. I love that they have these different specializations, and I'm hoping we get to see their individual classes. Cause I like seeing new people. So I like to see connections they make outside of each other, but we all know that they are like the core group. Like these 3 are the ones that they are heavily bonded, and I love it. So I'm really excited. And next episode, looks like Abigail is facing off against Camarera by herself, because they are at this like march. We see Cilla for a second, and Rael, I think, sees her too. Something happens, the crowd goes crazy, probably because of them trying to find witches, which is gonna, obviously spark some problems. We see Alder's eyes glowing, and then we see Abigail. We see Rael say, "Where's Abigail?" And then Abigail by herself taking on Camarera. So I am next week. You think this episode was good? Next week's gonna be bomb. I'm so excited for next week. When Cilla and Anacostia do come as to cops. Yeah, they are like cops. They really are the good and bad cops. It's just that they're more like the banter between them is more like good cop, bad cop with each other. I think it's funny. But what grew in its place was dangerous and heavily poisonous flora and fungi. That's the thing. I skipped that. I'm sorry. As for Rael's power, she literally gave me Persephone vibes. Like the second she took a step into the power, and like her namesake, Destroyer of Light, she destroyed several layers of the underworld. But what grew in her place was dangerous and heavily poisonous flora and fungi. I agree with that. I just kept looking at this like fluorescent looking mushrooms growing, and it looked like it was terraforming. And that's the thing, guys. I have a problem. I don't know if it's trichophobia or whatever. I don't like looking at holes. I don't like looking at like slimy, fuzzy, anything. It makes me itch. And the mushrooms in this show, guys, if I had one critique, they are too effing realistic because they make me, I feel itchy now just thinking about it. Like it's too much for me. And it's sad because I love eating mushrooms, but I don't want to look at them. And I don't want to look at them growing on people, and I don't want to look at them. It just creeps me out. So I guess that's also a positive. I got to give it to the art directors because they did a great job with the special effects with this mushroom. But the glow in the dark mushrooms, it was pretty, still creepy, but very, very pretty for me. And I don't know, it kind of reminded me of things I'd see in Animal Crossing. It's just like things just pop up. I don't know, it was pretty cool. It was nice to see Anacostia speak mother tongue. Yes, to the spree. Yes, it was. And she said it in like a very cocky way. We're the enemy. Like he would understand that, or maybe he does. We don't know what we know the Camarera had. They know about their vocal work. They've modified it in creepy tech. They know about the hearing. They could know the language. I mean, honestly, Nicta could have been somebody that they captured or somebody that actually gave them the information as, somebody else to go against Alder. Because, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, even though that they hate, other witches. That doesn't mean she couldn't have allied with them too. I still think she founded the spree though. I really do. Bonnie needs to find a different boo because I feel like her husband giving strong, great. He is great in Creed vibes and fear he might try something. She is scared of him. It's obvious they're in an abusive relationship. We saw this in the last episode where she was like, "I'm glad to have girls around," and he's like, "You never complained about that before." Just like how she got really mousy with him tells me that there's some issues. Also, I feel like Petra knows Alder is doing shady stuff. Absolutely. She knew this from day one. And she also knew it when she was, passed over by the president as general. She knew that was, all Sarah's doing. Just like when she said she did not look surprised when the president all of a sudden signed that order. And then if you go back and watch that scene, she looks at Sarah. She looks at the president and vice president. She turns around, looks at the biddy, and she turns around and she has this look on her face like, "Oh, so this is what's happening." It was not even a shock to her. So I don't know. Nicta did say that you used her seed, meaning Alder used her non-canon work because she was interested in the productivity of it along given this week episode. She is. That's another thing. So Alder's supposed to be like this 300-year-old witch, but they keep talking about Gem. Like the witch that came up with her own work that no other witch could ever do. And she's like the person everybody wants to be. Not Alder, Gem. Who is Gem? Where can we find Gem? I want to know more about Gem. Just saying. I really like Isadora. She's so underrated. She's cool. And she's very like when she had Rael and Abigail in those little containment units that look like sensory, deprivation chambers. She was scary. Like she's like, "Hey, this was my life's work, and you destroyed it, and now you will pay." She was like so evil, and then she went back to being cool again. I'm like, yeah, she's scary. She's like, it's almost like she has a split personality. Non-canon work as a way to overkill and take over vast territories and lands, and then reaping the so-called benefits like seeds, songs, etc. Well, we know that Alder wanted the Tareem songs. She wants all the weapons. This is not just about the spree. This isn't even just about the Camarera. This is in case they try and take power from her. Alder could be like the most powerful being, in their universe and can put up a fight. Again, the biddies, the use of the biddies came from Native Americans, our First Nations. This is not something Alder knew. She was taught it by Native Americans. And I know that they're going to show up because we saw an image of a Native on a horse in the long trailer for season 2. So we are going to see more about that. I believe it was the Cheyenne. So we're going to see, I think, a lot about her backstory because, again, Alder is shady AF. I don't care if we learn all this trauma about her and this is why she did this and her sister was killed and blah, blah, blah. She is still shady AF. She is doing things and she has she doesn't seem to care about the consequences to other people. So she's shady. She is shady. Well, it looks like I found what Rael's patron goddess is now. Yeah. She threw a water spout. She did throw a water spout and apparently on purpose. Abigail's learning her weather work. I know this is not about charm, but I feel like the reboot and Fort Salem are the same. I feel like they should be similar, but they're not. Motherland Fort Salem is a drastically better show, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately, it is a much better show. If Rael heals Abigail, I wonder if it would unleash more of Abigail's power. Potentially. I wonder what fixing people in general for her is going to be like now. Because we saw her fix Kalita because she got rid of the Black Plague. And I guess Mama Mushroom absorbed it because that's kind of what went off when they were in Tareem territory at the season finale of season 1. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, Rael was a powerful fixer. She does what I call backwater, seed. But I wonder what it's like now that her lyrics is colonized by, Mama Mushroom. That's going to be interesting. I really believe Rael's power will get to a point where she's uncontrollable power-wise. She may end up like Jean Grey / Phoenix. You never know. And decided to use his position to drive a wrench in the power that the witches carry via Salem Accord and try to use his wounded pride and toxic masculinity to push his agenda. Huh. That could be a thing. Alder throughout this episode gave shadiness. The way she talked to Rael about her new gifts being very important just gave off the vibe she knows what's coming. The fact that she didn't give a crap about Rael's well-being, she just wanted her to be a bomb and show it all off for the people. She wanted the general of the Hague to see it. She wanted the vice president. She really wanted the president, but the vice president came. She wanted the vice president to see it. She wanted everyone to know that they got the bomb. They have the biggest weapon of mass destruction in all the land, and it is poor Rael. And I feel really bad for her. This is not a good thing. This is a very bad thing for her. The Imperatrix reminds me of the Slytherin. Yes. She gave me, I'm gonna tell you, she can give me a little bit of she gave me a little bit of Snape vibes, just a little bit. And also, there are a few characters that I think she reminded me of in Harry Potter. But again, this entire season reminds me of Harry Potter. So it's a thing. I think Abigail and Adele will have children together, even if Adele does leave. Where do children go? Like, what happens to them when you're not leaving the military? You're not getting married technically forever. I think what is it, like 5 years? Is it 5 years? I can't remember. They talked about it with Charvel before, but unfortunately she got killed. I need to remember that. Like I said, it's so weird to have such a progressive show that shows so many powerful women. But when it comes to having babies, especially when you're a witch in the military, you have very little say. Abigail has no say. At least the others can narrow it down to 3 prospects. She got told she's going to have babies with Gregorio. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. Did they introduce this man just to be the father of Abigail's kids? And, the fact that he already was going to be her, is it Cavalier, where he's supposed to be like the person that escorts her to her debut, and the stars align for that too, is just really weird. The Imperatrix seems to be awful at her job. How many new witches that weren't aware of their genealogy have we seen? It never made sense to me how the Bellwethers could have unknown witches. Well, to be fair, they did over the generations outcross, marry humans. So they were half human, half witch. So it's hard to get when your lines stretch out like that. I mean, it's hard to track everyone. I mean, we can look at our own genealogy for that. It's just interesting too that did they not know, or did the imperative, because they're so into purity, just not say anything about them because they didn't deem them as worthy? Because the way they were describing Abigail and her traits and her birthright and, her lineage was, you are a pure person. You are the Northern Star. You are the star of this show, the best baby maker in the dozen. They wouldn't say that with anyone who's like Rael. So, I mean, I don't think it's not that the imperative didn't know. They didn't care because they weren't worthy. That's what I think. But that's just me. The Boer is supposed to be military warfare. How can they be that and have Dodgers with unknown children? The Imperatrix needs to retire. I just want her to just talk to Alder all the time like she did. Just talk crap to her like all the time. Ara keeps saying something big is coming, but why isn't she telling what the big thing is? I believe she wants to wipe out both the Spree and the Camarera. I believe that too, but I think she also, let's put this in perspective. Her puppeting the president is probably not the first time she's puppeted a president in her 300-year reign. So this may be just another notch on her belt. So Alder wants to not only wipe them out, Alder wants to be pretty much the leader of the free world. I mean, if she could be president, she would do it. I just think it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting how this plays out. If she lost track of the bellwether matriline, there's no way she's keeping up with the rest. True. The reason I say she wants to wipe out the spring comer is because the truth is she's the reason there's a hatred for witches in the army due to her uncalled mass killings. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't let the spree off of anything, to be fair. I'm never going to let the spree off because let's be clear. They still were killing a lot of people. And mass, is literally mass suicide. They were causing people either to kill themselves or committing mass murder, like we saw in the YMCA when they were all in the pool, freezing them to ice, the people that were in the pool, like going to the stadium and making people chant stuff about the Camareras coming. But like they're not good. I understand their hatred of the army, but they're not good people because any good people would not use innocent people to make a point, because that is definitely a terrorist. So the spree is not good. And I'm, like I said, the last episode, I'm very happy that Cilla is starting to see that she killed 1,500 people. No matter how she looks at it, no matter what she takes from anything, she killed. She had 1,500 people plus her ex-boyfriend jump to their death. So it's a thing. I love your comment that this is the witch show you wish Charm was. Looks like I'm going to have to binge watch because I need a good witch show to watch because Charmed is depressing. I mean, yeah, I'm so worried about the next few episodes, guys. I'm gonna be real with you. What if the Imperatrix is the person whose literal job to keep track of the witch bloodlines and by extension keeping track of any off branches of the witch genes? Does this mean she's purposely kept several members of high witch pedigree and the others out of the loop due to the so-called blood purity? The woman just gave me blood supremacy. Yep. And House of Black vibes from Harry Potter. Absolutely. That's what I think happened. And I don't think it's that they didn't know. I think that's what Alder was implying. And that's why she got in her feelings and told Alder to get the hell out of her office. So yeah, that could be a thing. What if the Imperatrix is a person whose little job? I think I already read that one. Sorry. The special effects in this series are awesome. Yes. And I'm, like I said, I have mixed feelings because they're very good, but they creep me out. I know you're a Charm fan too. So does this show have more meat to it regarding plot, characterization, and some serious magic? I would say that you should watch Charmed. It's the characters are good characters. It's just the writing that has problems. So I think I always tell people to watch it and draw conclusions for yourself because you may like it. I mean, everybody's different. So I don't want to put you off of a show because I have problems with a lot of the episodes and the writing in them. So give it a shot. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you do like it, carry on. I'm still going to review it either way. So it's a thing. Alder and her fellow witches were being wiped out when she made the accord, selling herself and all the witches into military service of slavery to save herself and her kind. it gives her a break. It did. But nobody that goes into slavery or indentured servitude or whatever you want to call it historically is happy about their situation. But Alder has made this something that gives her power. So you're thinking she went into that as a slavery situation for herself, but that's not true. She did it to save herself. And everybody else are pretty much, they are an effect to that. Their lives being signed away by this woman, all of that is basically the side effect of her saving her own butt, because she was the one that was about to die. They hung her sister. She was next. She did that seed, caused herself to be, infertile, so she could never have kids, but she essentially saved her own neck. It was not to preserve all of her fellow sisters. I don't believe that for a second, because Alder has shown me that Alder is in it for Alder. So it's just a thing. If what Cilla's thought process was with this dangerous tech that the camera now possesses and makes it nationwide, we may have an even more dangerous witch hunt than ever. Salem Accords be damned. Yep. Eventually, Alder's abuse of the president's human and civil rights will have dire consequences for all witches. Yep, I think the season will end in civil war with the Congress siding with the Camarera or forming their own group of haters. But you may be right. Abigail needs to have power only she can do, just like Rael and Tally. She does. She's a blaster. She does weather work. So she has it. I'm telling you, she looked like Storm, like Aurora Monroe from X-Men when she was levitated. I just wanted her eyes to turn white instead of red. But the girl she was Storm, and I was here for it. What channel does this show air on? I divorced cable, so I have to watch my shows on the apps. All right, so it comes on Freeform. Freeform does have a free app. Also, it comes on Hulu. So if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch it on Hulu as well. The entire Motherland Witch Society has a tradition of blood purity, hence their treatment of Rael's mom. We just never seen it as explicit as the hateful as in the Imperatrix. True. I mean, Willa did explain that they kept sending her out to fight so she wouldn't have time to stay with her family. So we saw that it's been there the entire time. And I don't think that was the imperative. That was the army. From what I can sense of this, Alder, I thought, kind of approves all of the missions for the army. So in retrospect, was Alder also separating Willa from her family? Because why didn't Alder intervene? I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand the connection between Rael's mom and Alder, especially when Alder was praising her when in season 1, when Abigail went to her to first get Rael or to get put on a different team, a different unit. And she's like, there was a soldier that I thought was, that I was really revered and brave and basically a war hero. And she was talking about Rael's mother. So why didn't she help Rael's mother stay with her family more? I mean, I just have questions on that. My guess is Alder has used puppetry more than once, to keep human politicians from crapping the bed, something I wish for in this reality. I mean, you want to have free will, but there are some dummies out there that you don't think should have will at all. I get it, but that's a very dangerous way of thinking, so I don't like thinking that way. I read the description of last episode. It says Camarera will... you kind of cut off, so... You can say that again. I feel like that because of Alder's problematic action may lead to the entire witch militia to be disbanded and the accords to be overturned for worse, leaving our people at worse strains than ever. Yeah, I think that. It is 5 arrangements, but Abigail still has large extended family. Like, that's what I'm thinking. We know the cousin is dead, was murdered by the Camarera. But don't they have I thought they had others. And I'm just going to put it out here again. If Petra was, the way it seems, was maybe the end of her line. I mean, I'm sure she has a sister and the cousin that died. Doesn't that mean that Petra should have been having more kids too? I mean, why put all that on Abigail? I feel bad. And then if she only has one daughter, isn't it the same situation? You're the last, you're the last, you're the last. It's just weird. And what if Abigail just pops out boys all the time? It's such a weird thing. The Salem Accords was not going to survive Alder's treason. Congress was already thinking about it in season 1. Now with the VP's daughter conscripted, that's not going to last. It is not. You can see the vice president's already like, I don't want my daughter in here. But I do love Penelope and Tally's relation. I think they are so cute. I really love it. Because Tally seems more confident when she's with Penelope versus anywhere else on base. It's like a completely different person. Like how she talks to Penelope is literally like a mentor. And then she leaves that situation and it's like her confidence goes away. It's very weird. It's a very interesting dynamic. Now, how did the active use of puppetry caused by Alder? I'm not surprised that the president has hidden cameras in the building and the shot face of the vice president, Silva. This isn't the end of this ordeal. And now, like, he did go instead of the president to Rael's demonstration, and he said the president caught a bug. What does that mean? I think that was a double meaning. Is it possible that Nicta is still alive? Absolutely. I think she's very much alive. I think she's the one that created the spree. Alder has a lot to pay for, and with these next few episodes building up, I can see the eventful fallout endangering which society as a whole to her actions. I don't know why, but I think it would be amazing if the Bellwether unit has to go on the run from the army, the Camarera, and the spree. Like, have to go because something goes down and it's not safe for them in the army. It's not safe for them anywhere. And they have to rely just on each other. I don't know. I would love that scenario, them trying to survive by themselves and making allies. I don't want them to just be on base all the time. I don't know why. I like it this season because we're getting our Harry Potter fix, but I want them to be out in the real world dealing with because seeing Anacostia with the braids, girl, I mean, I'm telling you, I loved Anacostia last season. I really love her this season. And she is in her element out there in the real world doing her thing. I want that for Abigail, Tally, and Rael. I just really do. Let's see. It is 1,600 plus Porter. I thought it was 1,501. I have to look that up. You may be right. Cilla killed 1,600 at the mall, 1,601 with Porter. That's 100 more mortars on her necklace ledger. That's sad. I'm sorry. That's just sad. That is sad. 16 viewing, only 7 likes. Get them thumbs up, y'all. Please, please, please give me a thumbs up because it actually helps my channel so people know that I'm here. Because I noticed the algorithm does not play favorites. So if you could, please, please thumbs up. I appreciate it. And I always forget to ask that. That's why Miss Chastin and others have to do it for me. I think if you enjoy shows about witches and good storytelling, check out Motherland, Fort Salem. It is definitely intriguing and you will not be bored. Alder both saved the witches from burning at the stake, but also doomed them to lifelong slavery to the military. I agree. And like I said, it was her, like, I don't know why she didn't come up with this before her sister got killed. It was when it was her turn to be hung when all that stuff occurred. So that's interesting. Like I said, she's shady. She's just shady. You're definitely correct about the Imperatrix. She even acknowledged how Rael's bloodline is known for producing powerful witches. Just what a weird blood purist. She is very discriminatory. Yeah, very, very. She may be alive, but as an old woman traveling around in various countries to escape detection or even a comatose state, or she's dead, but her legacy lives on. A new witch, maybe Tally's protege. The reason I think she is spree is because we have a class last episode that specializes in non-canon magic, the work of the spree. And this is a woman who first introduced Alder and them to non-canon magic. She didn't even know how she could do what she did. So it makes sense to me that if you have a witch who specializes in non-canon magic and you have all these people who are outliers and do not want to be in the army, they had to learn this non-canon magic from somewhere. Why not the source? Just thinking. I want to see what happens if Alder is disconnected from all her biddies. Does she turn into dust? I really want to know that too. I want to see it. I really want to see it. Imagine Alder coming face to face with Nicta. That would be damn amazing. I think Alder would die. I'm like, that girl did not seem to play around. I don't know why she didn't take her out right then. That's the thing. Petra should have been having kids, but given how the shock of the deaths of close relatives at the wedding and most likely due to her present, the Imperatrix doesn't see her as, let's see. I kind of feel like, well, like I said, I feel bad for Abigail because Abigail is the last person in this show to just be known as a baby making machine. She's got too many goals. She's too ambitious. she's not even ambitious in a bad way anymore. She actually, when the Imperatrix says you have impeccable genes and you're the one everyone's jealous of, and she's like, not really. I'm like, no, they're not. Her confidence level has taken so many hits since last season, but she has become very humbled, even though that drive and desire to be more than what they are making her be is very strong. And I started to see this a lot when she started talking to Charvel at her wedding or hand binding. And she was like, I don't want to be known in the military as Petra Bellwether's daughter. I don't want to be the person that is basically another line of my family's history. I want to be known for doing something that only I can do. That's why her being, the kind of like the other half of this witch bomber Rael, when she found out that she wasn't, it was so devastating for her because that was how she wanted to make her mark. She wanted to get revenge for Charvel, and she also wanted to have this that no other witch could have. But instead, it went to Rael, and Rael is the one witch in all of these units who doesn't want to be in the spotlight. She doesn't want to be in the history book. She doesn't care about that. So for Abigail, she's had to do a complete reversal on all of her own values. She's had to deprogram and detox her brain from her upbringing, which we saw with Libba. That's why she was able to give that eulogy and to say, hey, I literally grew to hate Libba and her entire family since the womb. It was basically my mother's milk. She has come to terms with all of the negative aspects of being a bellwether, and then still trying to live up to this legacy she doesn't want to live up to. She just wants to be different. She wants to stand out. She wants to be powerful in her own right without being a bellwether. And that's why I love this line in this episode. She said, do you ever feel like you're someone, or you're basically pretending to be somebody else and living somebody else's life? And it's very obvious that Abigail is a completely different breed from her mother and probably everybody else before her in her family. And I hate that she's almost killing herself to try and find something to make her special on her own. And that is exactly what that is. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for what's going to happen. I would not be surprised in the next episode where we see her taking on the Camarera by herself. She's doing it because she wants to do something by herself, and it's going to put her in danger. And I think that that's going to be something they have to discuss. But, it's a thing. I just saw you were live, so I decided to pop in and say hi. Now I'm jumping off the stream since I haven't seen the series yet. I'll catch y'all next week. Thank you, Madam Scorpio. Have a good night. Let's see. Acceptable, should I say, a young, fertile as a pure blood bellwether. With that being said, the Imperatrix is probably as non-militia half-blood bellwether that doesn't have her ideals. So once they were murked, she is like no skin off my bones. I mean, I feel that way. I feel like she's like, they were just, they were half-breeds. There's no point. That is so Harry Potter, half muggles, full muggles. I mean, what they call them? I forgot what they call them. It's been a minute, guys. Even though I love Harry Potter, I forgot the derogatory term for muggles and half muggles that they used to swing around, especially at Hermione a lot. But, it's a thing. It'll pop into my head. It's cool that witches are able to come up with new work. True. I want to know how, though. I want to know how they come up with new work. I thought the Lady Gem was a bellwether. Well, Abigail's grandmother. I don't know. That's the thing. Did they say bellwether? Was this the Bellwether Museum? So confusing. I had to go back and watch that, guys. I try to catch things, but you miss stuff sometimes. I'm not scared that Abigail in her reckless anger, she might end up in a situation like Black Canary as she was trying to defeat the Camera operatives. And we all know that what happened to her in one iteration. Well, I will say in one trailer where they did they have little snippets. You see them about to cut out Abigail's vocal cords again, just like they did in season 1. So I have a feeling that's in the next episode, but we know that's not going to happen. She's one of the 3. I would be hard pressed to see her have her vocals removed. That would be very interesting. Do you think that Willa was the one who introduced or radicalized Cilla for the spree, and that's how Cilla came to be in her spree cell? She specifically sent her after Rael. I don't know if she recruited her, but I think she definitely used her because she knows her daughter's into women, and she thought she would be her type. So, like I said, the problem is as much as I ship Rael and Abigail, I see why people like Cilla with Rael chemistry wise. They have great chemistry. They're very cute together. But at the end of the day, people are very quick to bypass the fact that Cilla is a terrorist and a murderer. It's like they give her that pass. And it's always been something that's confused my brain because in so many other series, like I pointed out with Charmed, a lot of people in here probably watch my Charm reviews. People hate Abigail with this intensity. And she didn't do a third of what Cilla did. And I've been looking at names. I'm always matching names who get on me about me saying Cilla was a terrorist because I'm like, okay, this is hypocritical as hell. It is hypocritical. You do not get a pass for being cute, have chemistry, or being in a queer or LGBT relationship. I'm sorry. This is coming from a queer woman. You don't get a pass for murder. You just don't with me. I don't give a crap how cute you are. If you're a murderer, baby, you a murderer. And that's it. That is it. It's what it is. We're supposed to see Abigail's father soon. That's going to be interesting. Probably because she's not trying to mate and they're going to send daddy to talk to her. Abigail can't be scaring us like that. She could have died. Yeah. Mudbloods. Thank you. Thank you, Latin. Thank you. It was literally, I couldn't. I see you guys. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Dee Dee. I promise you it was there and it was gone. If Abigail vocal gets cut out, maybe Rael could bring her back to life and give her a Mycelium based type set of vocals. Wouldn't that be messed up if the reason they are showing that is not just so we see how Rael is able to use mother tongue and able to utilize the abilities of the mycelium or the mother mushroom, but also because Abigail is dying and she needs to put vocals in. Oh, that would be so messed up. Oh my God, that would be messed up. Think of the trauma and the PTSD of having them literally cut out your lyrics, your vocal cords while you're alive, and awake. Oh, this show, man. I'm in my feelings. I feel like Abigail will try to pull off maybe a wind strike or a mild storm casting, but like Black Canary, if she carries a note under stress too long while fighting multiple assailants, it ain't going to end well. Yeah, we see it was not ending well when she was doing it. So I agree. And she could end up as infertile due to injury. I would love for her to do it. That sounds horrible. But I think the only out for Abigail is to become infertile. And I wonder if she's already accomplished that with what she just did. Wouldn't that be messed up if she's in the infirmary and they're like, well, we have good news and bad news. The good news is you're going to recover fine. The bad news is you can't have kids anymore. Oh, Petra would lose her stuff. She would lose her stuff. She really would be the last bellwether. Oh, guys, there's so much they can do in this show. There's such good writing, though. There really is. This show is just, it's so amazing to me. It is really amazing. Okay, guys, we are over an hour. So I know it is late. It is 11:44 my time, my Lord. So I'm going to let you guys go back to sleep. Or if you're starting your day, get on with the rest of your day. I've got other videos coming out, so be on the lookout. I have not forgotten about my Republic of Sarah episodes. I have to do 2 of them together because I basically had a lot of doctor appointments and then just all my schedules got thrown off. So, but they coming. Make sure to like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Please tell me your theories and what you think is gonna happen the rest of this season, because there's a lot of stuff going on simultaneously. So I want to know all of your theories. So please leave me a comment below. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next stream and in the next video. So we will be reviewing The Flash tomorrow, but I think that's the only Arrowverse show that's actually new this week. So there you go, just The Flash tomorrow. So be on the lookout. I'll have check the community board. More than likely it will be in the afternoon. So be on the lookout for The Flash review tomorrow. Good night and good day, guys.